up on Big Ten basketball and beyond. We reflect on the week that was in the conference, the Hoosiers' big win at MSU, and the Spartans' ensuing loss in Columbus, and Michigan's statement against the Illini. We'll put it all in perspective. Plus, while teams like IU, Michigan, Duke, Florida, Miami, and Gonzaga have been grabbing all the headlines, who are the teams we're not talking about that perhaps we should be? And we examine the unusual impact of Victor Oladipo and tell you where he stands in the National Player of the Year race. It's all on the Big Ten and beyond now. Welcome in. It is Big Ten basketball and beyond, presented by Barbasol. Dave Revson, Jim Jackson, Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. And after Sunday's action, looks like it may be a race for second place in the Big Ten now, as Indiana has clearly separated itself after Michigan State's loss.
They got away from it. I think Michigan kind of jumped back in the picture in regards to playing well, a game they much needed, Mike.
To not win at least a share of the title, I think the Hoosiers would have to pull a Jean Van de Velde.
Man.
I think that's what would have to happen.
We'll hope we don't see them wading through a creek with their trousers rolled up. As long as they don't have that, they should be okay. Spartans trying to bounce back from that loss to Indiana, going into Columbus to take on Thad Matta and Ohio State. Tom Izzo's team started off well. Adrian Payne, the big-time jam. Michigan State down one. He had 12 points and 15 boards. Payne did. And then Gary Harris and the foul. He led Michigan State with 14. They were up by 3 after the free throw. What happens here, Jimmy?
Well, right here, little miscommunication by Michigan State. Again, no pressure on the passer. So Aaron Craft is able just to throw a lob play that took a while to develop for Ohio State, but because there was lack of pressure, the pass was easy. Sam Thompson, of course, one of the best finishers in the game.
That is for sure. Buckeyes down by 1. Brandon Dawson with a jam of his own on the other end. Spartans were up by 6 at the half, but the second half, a totally different story, and Aaron Craft, a huge part of that, Mike.
When the season began and we projected them not for a top 5 finish in the conference, but nationally, we thought it was with Aaron Craft becoming a more productive offensive player. Today, 21 points, 7 of 12 shooting. This is the guy we thought he'd be.
Career high 21, and also had an impressive 6 assists to go along with that. Amir Williams with the jam makes the free throw. Buckeyes up by 5. They shot 57% in the second half. Now final 4 minutes, Deshaun Thomas and the foul. He had 14. The Buckeyes win it by 8. Katie Witham gathered the post-game reaction.
We knew they was going to, throw their best punch, and they did when they ended that half. We came in this half and just played hard and execute on offense. We hit big shots. Coach said our defense could spark our offense, and then we had to take care of the ball, too. So we got 14 steals and turnovers, and we lead to the offense, and we score, and we capitalize on it.
That's huge. I think that's when we're at our best offensively. It was when our defense feeds into it. And up there, it was the other story. We returned the ball over. They were scoring a lot. We know we have to control the tempo of the game, and we did a great job of finishing this time in the game. We're starting to understand what it's like to play as a team. And when we play as a team, I feel we can play with anyone in the country. So we've done a great job this week of getting better every day in practice, and hopefully we have 3 games left and we can continue to get better.
That's kind of who we are. I mean, we're a team that has to generate offense through their defense, and it comes down to effort. It comes down to second, third efforts each possession, and our guys did that.
But I am disappointed that we haven't showed the grit we showed in the last 2 games, which normally happens when you get fat and sassy, and I think we've gotten a little bit of that.
Michigan starting its home stretch against an Illinois team that had won 5 straight coming in. Brady Hoke rooting the guys on. Illini owned the glass early, Mike.
Well, it was a terrific effort early on from Egwu in particular. He did a great job, and Brandon Paul with the runner. It was a terrific effort from the Illini to get up early.
Indeed, they were up by 3 at that point, but the Illini struggled with turnovers. Tim Hardaway Jr. turning one into a couple points and the foul. 13 Illini turnovers, 27 points off turnovers for Michigan. But Brandon Paul hit the three top of the key. The Illini went to the locker room with a 3-point lead. Second half, though, they just couldn't overcome the turnovers, Jimmy.
No, they couldn't. And when you're on the road, you can't afford to give turnovers to an explosive team like Michigan who loves to get out and run. But more importantly, Michigan converts those turnovers into points like you just said.
Beautiful pass there. Glenn Robinson, the third, off the feed from Jordan Morgan. Michigan up by 5. More Illini turnover issues. This time, Brandon Paul coughing it up. Trey Burke on the other end, 26 points, 8 assists. Michigan up by 7, and then Burke again as the Wolverines improve to 16-0 at home. They win it by the final of 71-58. So here's what it looks like at the top of the conference now. I alluded to this off the top. Indiana in great shape. They are 2 up now in the loss column. A lot of intrigue 2 through 5. MSU, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Remember, the top 4 get an opening round bye in the Big Ten tourney. So that race is important. But I'll tell you, a game you were at on Tuesday night, it seems like that may have swayed the balance here. It's so tough to win on the road. Indiana did that in East Lansing, and now it's put them in great shape.
Well, a lot of people had complained about Indiana as a road team. They went to Ohio State, dominated, and then pulled out a game in which, honestly, in the second half, they did not play well. Victor Oladipo told us after the game he thought they were only scratching the surface. And having watched their early second half performance, particularly Cody Zeller forcing action, not getting deep enough, I thought that there was a lot they could improve on in that game. They did not play great, and they beat a very good, if not excellent, team on the road by making great plays at the end. The play by Christian Watford leaning across the lane, Victor Oladipo beginning to end. It was a game full of winning plays, but not a spectacular performance from the Hoosiers, and that's great news.
It is great news, and what you're saying, Mike, is that this Indiana team hasn't put 2 halves together. I mean, North Carolina, the first half was okay, second half came out and played. Also, Ohio State and also this past game, Minnesota, same thing. So they have a lot to go, but they have the tools to be a very, very good team, and hopefully we can see that. And I'm talking about Michigan State. You know, for me, you lose at home to Indiana and you lose today at Ohio State. 2 games you could have won. And it's down the stretch of the game where Michigan State probably didn't make the play. And Indiana was about missing free throws in critical situations. You put yourself in a situation to win the game or at least take the overtime. Do whatever you need to do. Now you have to make plays. At Ohio State, it's a turnover. Something has crept back into the mix here with Michigan State, where they controlled these turnovers, got shots at the end of the game. But this afternoon, they weren't able to get the kind of shots in production late in the game. And when you're at this time of the season, this is when you should know who you are as a team, be a little bit more patient. And even if you missed the shot, missed the opportunity, at least you got shots at the rim. Michigan State was not able to get the kind of high-quality, high-percentage shots against Ohio State this afternoon.
I still think this is a terrific Michigan State team, but I think they're starting to lean toward having to be the sort of a team like UConn was in 04 when they were only a 2 seed but got it together in the tournament. Or maybe even 2011 when they didn't play at all well in the conference, but eventually dominated their conference tournament and won in the NCAAs. They have some structural issues. They are not executing their offense late. They had 3 key possessions with a chance to cut into Ohio State's lead today and didn't get it done. So I think it sort of opens the door this week for the Wolverines to maybe take back full possession of second place.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier for Michigan State. As you said, they have to go into Michigan. Remember, that was a rout in East Lansing with the Spartans winning it. But again, it goes back to this original point of just how hard it is to win on the road. But Michigan State will try to avoid losing a 3rd in a row. Up next, we take a spin around the rest of the country, including some upsets that just may resonate on Selection Sunday. And the guys will each introduce you to a couple of under-the-radar teams you may not be paying attention to, but perhaps should be. Stick around.
Oh, hey, buddy. It's your great-granddad here. In case you haven't noticed, I'm kind of busy fighting for your freedom in the Second World War. But now, you're using that freedom to hurl insults at celebrities on Twitter? Listen, hashtag. You're not gonna fight like a man. You at least shave like a man. Barbasol. Stop LOLing everything.
Thanks for the ticket, man.
Thanks to my State Farm agent for saving me $480.
No sweat. Hey, look, we're on fan cam.
Having the extra cash sure helps.
And I can save even more. by combining your auto and renter's policies.
Cool. But what if we bought a house?
Auto and home, we have even bigger savings for that.
Wow, sounds good.
More savings any way you shake it.
Want to split some nachos?
Sure.
Get to a better state. State Farm.
Yes! Man, I love this place. I wish the tournament lasted longer.
This just in, the tournament has expanded to 256 teams. What does this mean?
We're in?
We're in.
We're in? We're definitely in.
Buffalo Wild Wings, the official hangout of March Madness.
Check out my new treadmill app. Pretty sweet, huh?
Cute, but don't you have any apps on your phone that can make your life easier?
Who do you think I am? Quicken Loans?
At Quicken Loans, we'll provide you with MyQL Mobile. This amazingly useful app allows you to take pictures of your mortgage documents using an iPhone or Android smartphone so you can easily send them to us. One more way Quicken Loans is engineered to amaze.
Want to know why I didn't last 5 hours? I disproved the theory of relativity. I mastered origami while beating the record for hacky sacking. Found Bigfoot. Swam the English Channel. And then I swam back. And then I took the dogs for a walk. How do I do all this? 5 hour energy. Hours of energy now with no crash later.
BTN Basketball and Beyond is presented by Barbasol. A Barbasol man knows how to get a close shave in any situation. So lather up and shave like a man. Also in part by Allstate. Get Allstate for the coverage you need and all the discounts you deserve. Call an Allstate agent. Are you in good hands?
As we do every week, time to check out the rest of the nation. Top games from the last 7 days in the world beyond the Big Ten. Start you off Tuesday, Columbia, Missouri. Mizzou rallied from 13 down in the second half to hand Florida just its second SEC loss. Helped the Tigers improve their tourney chances. Fantastic game Wednesday night in Stillwater. Oklahoma State, which beat Kansas in Lawrence, took the Jayhawks into double OT before Nadir Tharp hit the floater in the lane to give KU the win, put them back in the Big 12 driver's seat. How about our former BTN colleague Jim Cruz? An incredible job taking over for the late Rick Majerus at St. Louis. Billikens went to Hinkle, beat Butler for the second time this year. Miami's first ACC loss came to a Wake Forest team that came in under 500, controlled the game from the get-go, led by 13 at the half, and cruised from there. The Canes fall to 13-1 in the league. And finally, the final Big East matchup between Georgetown and Syracuse went to the Hoyas behind an amazing performance from Otto Porter. He scored 33 of Georgetown's 57 points as the Hoyas ended Syracuse's national best 38-game home win streak. Gets us to our All-State Mayhem Index. Figures to be mayhem down the stretch in the battle for #1 seeds. Jerry Palm says Miami's loss bumps them off the one line. 2 Big Ten #1s now, according to Jerry, Indiana and Michigan. And Jerry predicts the Hoosiers will be in the Midwest, which means they would get to play in Indy. So guys, those 4 teams, obviously teams everyone knows about. We've talked about a lot of them throughout the course of the year. I want to get some teams that are a little bit more off the radar. And these don't have to be outside the top 25 or anything, but maybe just not teams we've been talking about as a 1 seed or a 2 seed all year. I'll start with you, Mike. Give me one from a power conference first.
Well, the team I'm going to select isn't going to be under the radar for very long. They'll be in the top 10 this week. Georgetown, we saw the highlight of their game against Syracuse and what they were able to accomplish there. I've always believed that they teach their players about as well at Georgetown as any program in the country, but I've always thought that the Princeton offense constricts some of those players. This team maybe not quite as bound to the system as they have been in the past. Otto Porter, a very creative forward. They have a freshman guard named Devonta Smith-Rivera from Indianapolis, I believe. And he has given them, he also had 30 this week. So they had 2 30-point games. Devonta's was against DePaul. So they have the ability to get out of the system, generate offense. They're a little bit sluggish offensively in terms of their efficiency, but I still like their squad.
I like Georgetown, too, just from the simple fact that Big East, they know how to play. Again, they teach, but it's also one of those sleeper things where it's not a lot of pressure put on them, sort of like Arizona, the team that I like. And the reason why is because this team has some guards that can play. You know, Mark Lyons comes over from Xavier. Maybe not your prototypical point guard, but can put the ball on the deck and score. You know, Solomon Hill is a tough matchup for 3s and 4s. Nick Johnson inside is athletic, can run, can do things. So this Arizona team, yes, you know, they lost to a UCLA team at home, but I think once you get outside the conference, the Pac-12, they cause some matchup problems. And then this year, when you're talking about trying to get to a Final Four, if they get the right seeding and play the right kind of teams, this is a team that I think that if they get on a roll, can create some problems.
So you mentioned UCLA. They get the return game on Saturday at Pauley, and that'll be a big one for Arizona as it looks to build the resume a little bit. What about outside the traditional Power 6 conferences? Who are you looking at there?
You know, it's Memphis. You know, Josh Posner has his team playing extremely well, 18 in a row. He had some tough losses early on when you're talking about in the Bahamas, but that was against the VCU and the Minnesota early on. But I like this team. You know, you might say, you know, Conference USA and
Conference USA. Okay, I said it.
But that's my point. But I think, again, I'm going to go back to this theme, is that this year, could they win a national championship? I don't know. But they could be one of those teams because they're playing extremely well. They have 3 players that score in double figures. They play extremely good defense, that they could cause some problems once they get in the tournament. They're a tough matchup and a tough out.
I'm excited to see the Tigers on Tuesday. They're going to be at Xavier. I also am looking forward to the progression of St. Louis as they get through the last part of their regular season and into the Atlantic 10 tournament, which should be a spectacular show. The Atlantic 10 loaded at the top. Great teams, VCU, you've got Temple, you've got LaSalle, Butler, obviously, and the Billikens have been the best in that league. They've consistently won. Some of it's been that their home court has favored them. They got VCU at home, but they went into Hinkle Fieldhouse on Friday, and they didn't dominate, but they controlled the game.
Right.
They owned that game. Great guard play with the 3 guards they have, McCall, Jett, Kwame Mitchell. That's a very, very good, strong, well-coached team, too. Jim Crew's done a great job.
I mean, how about our guy? He was on this set 2 years. Actually, he was on that set a little bit more than he was on this one, but still really amazing. Under very difficult circumstances with the passing of Rick Majerus, Jim Crew has done a fantastic job with the Billikens. Up next, from teams in the spotlight to players in the spotlight, it is shining brightly on Victor Oladipo. What makes him so special?
Been shopping, so smart. Cash back with your Freedom Card. Getting cash back on what? Close shave and haircut. Fan for the ceiling. You're gonna cool off that hound. Tonight you gotta get your cash back on new slacks. Choose Freedom on lunch with Jack. Everybody get.
Get your cash back. Chase Freedom.
Dad, I put that down.
4G, huh?
Verizon 4G LTE. 700 megahertz spectrum end-to-end. Pure LTE build. The most consistent speeds indoors or out, and obviously astonishing throughput.
Obviously.
You know how fast our home Wi-Fi is?
Yeah?
This is basically just as fast.
Oh.
And Verizon's got more fast LTE coverage than all other networks combined.
So it's better?
Yes.
Oh, why didn't you just say that? What is he doing?
Wish the tournament lasted longer. I'd love it here.
Longer? Longer it is?
Fast break! How can you tell?
Buffalo Wild Wings, the official hangout of March Madness.
Wrong button. What did I do with my last 5 hours? Let's see. I was a dietitian, a housekeeper, a pediatrician. Yeah, that was a 3rd-degree boo-boo. A housekeeper, a sanitation engineer, a housekeeper. Good thing I have 5-hour energy to keep me going. What will you do with your next 5 hours?
Gentlemen, we are debuting the Barbasol Slam of the Week, and as you can see, I was pretty close to the action here. I had a little roll. I whispered to Victor, hey, try that backdoor play. It worked out about as well as it could, bouncing it off of Costello's backside. And he gets up there and slams it a little better than most, Victor does.
Wow. I didn't realize you were impact. I thought you just covered the games. A dispassionate journalist.
We are supposed to. I think the Michigan State coaches, when they hear about this, are not going to be too pleased. But it was a great night on Tuesday night, was it not?
Indeed, it was. And so you played a role in that one particular play. I'm assuming you're not taking credit for his entire game, and I know you were really impressed in watching Oladipo in person in just how uniquely he impacts a game.
Well, it was interesting. I wrote a column subsequent to that victory, that Indiana victory, in which I copped. It was almost unfair. Basically, what I did was list all the great plays. I didn't even list all of them. I just listed most of the great plays he made, just to show the variety of ways in which he impacted the game. The huge block, the play we just showed with the slam. He makes the difference in so many ways. The ability to drive to the goal. And then this play was amazing. Save, steal, then dunk. And what I really found compelling about this play, it kind of defined Victor Oladipo for me, because just prior to that play, he had the opportunity to drive the basketball with the shot clock running down, and he declined the opportunity to do that. So he likes his greatness through the side door. He doesn't want to be the spotlight on him. Interesting thing, if Victor Oladipo, who's now in the National Player of the Year conversation, if it were to come about that he were to win the Naismith Award, he would have the lowest scoring average, presuming it stays where it is, at 14 points a game, the lowest scoring average in the 43-year history of the Naismith Award.
And yet, as you said, does so many things well. Just the 6th player in the last 15 years in that game to total at least 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 steals against a top 5 team. But you're right. I mean, the numbers, the scoring numbers don't really jump out at you. It's all the other things that he does. Right. But taken in its entirety, Jimmy, and Mike mentioned this possibility of National Player of the Year. Where do you think he fits in right now?
Well, it's a couple things. I agree with Mike on this. One, you don't have what I would call that dominating player that's getting a lot of national headlines. So it allows Victor, a guy like Victor Oladipo, that does a little bit of everything, to kind of enter in that conversation. But second and most importantly, I've been able to watch this young man just progress from his freshman year to where he's at now. He puts in the work. A lot of players talk about being good, Mike and Dave, but they don't really back it up. He's in the gym all the time. So you watch the progression of a young man who was highly athletic his freshman year. He improved his ball handling skills his sophomore year. This year he's improved his shooting over 62%. He's doing all the little things, and he's committed to playing defense. So you put that combination together of a player who really wants to be great, who puts in the work, who is a tireless worker, who does everything right. Now he's in a position where he affects the game much more than just putting points in the, in the basket. That's what he does.
Is he the leader right now, based on what you're seeing, National Player of the Year?
I do believe he is. When you look at the other players, Ben McLemore sort of not scoring enough. Marcus Smart had an opportunity to sort of trump Victor because he had a game the next day against Kansas. Didn't play great, didn't play awful, but didn't play great. His team lost, and then didn't play super on the weekend against West Virginia. So it's not really a horse race, but if you were going to do it now, I think you'd have to give it to Victor. He has been the best player.
Yeah, I said this earlier in the week, but it maybe bears repeating. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that an Indiana player other than Cody Zeller was going to win National Player of the Year, I mean, I would have gone Christian Watford first, and then I would have said, oh, okay, it wasn't Watford. So you're telling me that you had a freshman like Yogi Ferrell come in and have that big an impact his first year? I mean, Victor would have been so far down the list, it just would have never occurred to me. And it speaks to what you're saying, Jimmy. I mean, a guy who shot under 21% from 3 last year, and now he's over 50%. We're talking about him as Player of the Year. It's an amazing story. The final shots up next here, including Mike's take on the controversy surrounding the NCAA.
Hello, kiddo. We're on the Oregon Trail. You're on a juice cleanse? Must be nice to choose what you eat. As if the snow rolls in, there's a good chance I'm making a meal out of your little great-great-uncle here. Listen, Juice Box, you're not gonna eat like a man. Could you at least shave like a man? Yeah!
Barbasol.
And stop talking about kale.
Dad, I put that down.
4G, huh?
Verizon 4G LTE, 700 megahertz spectrum, end-to-end, pure LTE build. The most consistent speeds indoors or out, and obviously astonishing throughput.
Obviously.
You know how fast our home Wi-Fi is?
Yeah?
This is basically just as fast.
Oh.
And Verizon's got more fast LTE coverage than all other networks combined.
So it's better?
Yes.
Oh, why didn't you just say that? What is he doing?
Yo, give it up, dude.
Up high!
Okay.
Up high!
Don't you have any useful apps on that thing?
Who do you think I am? Quicken Loans?
At Quicken Loans, our amazingly useful mortgage calculator app allows you to quickly calculate your mortgage payment based on today's incredibly low interest rates, right from your iPhone or Android smartphone. One more way, Quicken Loans is engineered to amaze.
The nation's elite take the ice for hockey on BTN. Watch them blast the slap shots, bring the big hits, and light the lamp with sensational goals. Don't miss hockey, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, tomorrow on BTN.
Women's basketball plays on BTN. The Big Ten's best put their fire and passion on display and leave it all on the floor during top matchups throughout the season. Big Ten Women's Basketball, tomorrow on BTN.
The nation's best basketball conference on the premier college sports network. A red-hot title race. Impact players.
This guy's just an amazing basketball player.
Spectacular moments. And an award-winning show that takes you behind it all. The ultimate place for college hoops is BTN.
BTN Basketball and Beyond is presented by Barbasol. A Barbasol man knows how to get a close shave in any situation. So lather up and shave like a man. Also in part by Allstate. Get Allstate for the coverage you need and all the discounts you deserve. Call an Allstate agent. Are you in good hands?
Matt Painter and Purdue hosting Northwestern. Remember, the Wildcats pounded the Boilers in Evanston. Very different story. Actually, a similar story, just it was a different team doing the pounding in West Lafayette. Tyrone Johnson, part of a 14-0 Purdue run. He had 22, and it's DJ Bird for 3. Boilers up 22 in the first half. 13 in the game for Bird. Second half, more of the same. Ronnie Johnson with the steal. Purdue wins it by 31, 74-43. Final shots now, and Mike, we will start with you.
Well, unlike you two gentlemen, I am not a parent, and the cat kind of takes care of herself, so I don't have a lot of experience with failure to monitor. But that was the charge that was levied against Frank Haith this week as coach at Miami, now coach at Missouri. But what was interesting was that came a day after the NCAA had announced its decision about its own problems with the Miami investigation. With what they announced and acknowledged had gone wrong in that investigation, it was hard to believe that they announced failure to monitor charge against Frank Haith with a straight face. Guys, with what's gone on, nearly 2 years of his name being dragged through this, it should be over. Frank Haith should walk.
They should walk. It's frustration. I'm going to give you my frustration. My frustration is with free throw shooting. I do not understand how right now in today's game free throw shooting is down across the board, in particular with guards. I always thought that guards should shoot 75%, somewhere around there, because you're the guy that's going to handle the ball, that's going to make plays at the end of the game. And I don't know what the mindset is, whether that's lack of practice. I know coaches push things, but it is very sad to see right now across the board in college basketball, in particular from guards, that the shooting percentage from the free throw line has come significantly down.
Been an issue in the Big Ten, that's for sure. I mean, Michigan State, you alluded to it. Michigan State could have won that game against Indiana with better free throw shooting.
It's easy. I mean, here's the thing. Is it lack of concentration? Is it not motivating yourself in the offseason to practice this? I don't know what
Pressure?
it is. What is it?
Pressure.
What pressure? But it was pressure when I played. but you took.
But you were cool under pressure.
Well, I was cool. That's true. That's
We will see you next week. We leave you with the Penn State women's team, which clinched at least a share of the Big Ten regular season.